what if the people who never post photos of themselves on social media aren't missing out? What if they're the only ones who truly escaped? Right now, millions of people are opening Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, or Facebook, not because they planned to, not because they had something important to say, but because their fingers moved before their minds did. It's almost automatic. A photo, a swipe, a like, another swipe, then another, and another. Now, imagine someone who simply doesn't play that game. No selfies, no vacation dumps, no carefully edited birthday posts, no photo carousel proving they had a great weekend. At first, it feels strange, maybe even suspicious. You wonder, what are they hiding? But here's a better question. What if they aren't hiding anything at all? What if they're protecting something you've been slowly giving away for years? Not your privacy, not your memories. Something much more valuable, your attention. Because attention isn't just what you look at.
Attention is your life. Wherever your attention goes, your life follows. And that's exactly why this matters. Think back to the last time something amazing happened. Maybe you watched fireworks explode across the sky. Maybe you stood on a beach just before sunset. Maybe you laughed so hard with friends that your stomach hurt. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. How long did it take before someone said, "Wait, don't move. We need a picture"? The moment stopped. Everyone smiled. Someone counted. 1, 2, 3, click. Then everyone looked at the screen, not at each other. The memory hadn't even finished happening, yet everyone was already judging how it looked.
That tiny habit says more about modern psychology than most people realize, because somewhere along the way, experiencing life stopped being enough. Now we feel an invisible pressure to document it, to prove it happened, to show people we were there, to make sure nobody forgets us. But here's the strange part. The more we try to preserve a moment, the less present we become inside it. Psychologists call this the observer effect of experience. The moment you start watching yourself from the outside, you stop fully living from the inside. Instead of asking, "How do I feel?" you begin asking, "How does this look?" That one change quietly transforms your entire life. Without realizing it, you become both the actor and the audience.
Every smile becomes slightly rehearsed. Every vacation becomes slightly staged. Every celebration becomes slightly interrupted. Not because you're fake, because you've been trained. And the training started earlier than you think. When social media first appeared, it promised something beautiful: connection, a way to stay close to people, to share memories, to inspire others. And for many people, it still does exactly that. But every powerful tool changes the people who use it. The smartphone didn't just fit into your pocket. Eventually, it found a place inside your habits, then inside your emotions, then inside your identity. Here's something fascinating. Imagine two people standing in exactly the same place. Both are watching the sunrise. The first person quietly watches the sky change color. The second spends 10 minutes searching for the perfect angle. Neither person is wrong, but only one experienced the sunrise exactly as it happened. The other experienced it through a screen. Now, imagine repeating that difference, not once, but thousands of times over 10 years. Those tiny choices slowly become two completely different ways of living. One centered on experience, the other centered on presentation. And here's the irony. The people who post the most aren't always the happiest. In fact, research has repeatedly found that constantly comparing your life with carefully edited versions of other people's lives is linked with lower life satisfaction, increased anxiety, and feelings of loneliness. Not because social media is evil, because comparison is exhausting. You don't compare your real life to someone else's real life. You compare your behind the scenes to their highlight reel, and no one wins that comparison. That's why even successful people sometimes feel like they're falling behind, because someone else always seems richer, more attractive, more confident, more adventurous, more successful. But here's the secret nobody tells you. Everyone edits, everyone crops, everyone leaves something out. The smiling vacation photo doesn't show the argument before it. The perfect couple selfie doesn't show the silence afterward. The luxury lifestyle video doesn't show the stress behind the scenes. Social media isn't lying, it's simply incomplete. And when your brain forgets that, it starts believing everyone else's life is happening while yours is waiting to begin. That's where the real psychological trap begins. Because eventually, you stop living your own story and start chasing someone else's. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because the people who rarely post photos aren't necessarily more disciplined. They aren't automatically wiser. And they certainly aren't better than everyone else. The difference often lies somewhere much deeper. It lies in where they get their sense of worth. Think about this. Imagine you spend months learning to play the piano. The first time you perform a song perfectly, you feel proud. Now imagine two different endings. In the first, you immediately upload the performance and spend the rest of the day refreshing your phone. 20 likes, 50 likes, 200, then nothing. The excitement fades. Tomorrow, you'll need another post, another performance, another hit of validation. In the second ending, you close the piano, smile to yourself, and walk away. Nobody applauds, nobody comments, but somehow you still feel fulfilled. Same achievement, completely different psychology. This is the difference between external validation and internal validation. External validation says, I'm valuable because people approve of me. Internal validation says, I'm valuable whether people notice me or not. One depends on the crowd, the other belongs entirely to you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Social media isn't what creates insecurity. It simply exposes where insecurity already exists. Because if your confidence depends on strangers, it can disappear the moment they stop paying attention.
That's why so many creators experience something psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. Your first post gets 50 likes. You're thrilled. A month later, 50 feels disappointing. Now you need 100, then 500, then 5,000. The goalpost keeps moving, not because you're greedy, because your brain adapts. What once felt exciting quickly becomes normal, and once something becomes normal, it stops feeling rewarding. So you chase something bigger again and again and again. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays full. Now, here's the question that changes everything. If nobody could ever see another photo you took, would you still take it? Think about that for a second. Would you still photograph your dog sleeping peacefully on the couch? Would you still capture the first snowfall outside your window? Would you still record your child taking their first steps? Most people would answer yes, because some moments aren't meant for an audience. They're meant for memory. And maybe that's the point. The camera was invented to preserve life, not replace it. Somewhere along the way, many of us stopped collecting memories. We started collecting evidence. Evidence that we traveled, evidence that we're happy, evidence that we're successful, evidence that we're loved. But real happiness has never needed proof. In fact, the happiest moments often happen when you completely forget your phone exists. A conversation that lasts until 2 a.m., laughing so hard you can't breathe, driving with the windows down on a summer evening, watching your parents smile when they think nobody is looking. None of those moments become more meaningful because they were uploaded. They become meaningful because you were fully there. There's another fascinating psychological phenomenon called the spotlight effect. It means we dramatically overestimate how much other people think about us. We assume people remember our awkward photos, our embarrassing mistakes, our old posts. But the truth, most people barely remember what they ate yesterday. They're busy living inside their own minds, just like you are. Realizing this can be incredibly freeing because suddenly you don't have to impress everyone. You don't have to prove your life is exciting. You don't have to perform happiness. You can simply experience it. And maybe that's why some people quietly disappear from social media. Not because they're hiding from the world, because they're returning to it. They discover something most people spend years searching for: peace. Not the loud kind, not the kind that gets likes, the quiet kind, the kind that exists when your self-worth no longer depends on being noticed. Now, this doesn't mean posting photos is wrong. Far from it. Photos connect families. They preserve history. They inspire people. They tell stories that deserve to be told. The problem begins only when the photo becomes more important than the moment, when the audience becomes more important than the experience, when approval becomes more important than authenticity. That's the line. And it's a line all of us cross from time to time. The goal isn't to quit social media. The goal is to make sure social media never quietly starts living your life for you. So the next time you reach for your phone, pause for just one question. Am I capturing this because I love this moment, or because I'm afraid nobody will know it happened? That single question has the power to change your relationship with technology forever. Because the people who never post their photos aren't necessarily trying to disappear. They're reminding us of something we've almost forgotten. A beautiful life doesn't become beautiful because it's witnessed. It becomes beautiful because it's lived. Years from now, nobody will scroll through your memories the way you will. Nobody will feel your happiest moments the way you did. Your life was never meant to be measured in likes. It was meant to be measured in laughter, in growth, in love, in the quiet moments that changed you when nobody else was watching. They haven't disappeared from life. They've simply chosen to stop performing it.